Hey everybody, welcome to the show. You know where you are, the 9 at 9 with me, Tigo. Now before we get into the show, you probably noticed when we come in out of the credits, we're dancing because we're watching the opening credits too. So it's like the beat gets with me and then you think I've absolutely lost my mind, which is probably true. Anyway, back to the show. So you know I love bringing in experts. You know I love bringing in amazing women that are just blazing trails all over the world. Today, we have an expert who's blazing trails all over the world that's going to help you with your children, and in my case, my grandchildren, just being able to get through every day. So, who's here? You have to sit right there, and then you'll find out when we come right back.
Expert Talk is sponsored by Pod Nation TV, the podcast to broadcast network.
All right, welcome back. Yep, you heard me right. She is an amazing woman. She's also an amazing speaker, TEDx 3 times. She's CEO of Conscious Parenting Revolution, and she's here to kind of get me in line so I can connect better with my grandchildren. That's right, Katherine Sellery is here. Hey, Katherine, what's happening?
Hey, it's so great to be here with you, T. I always love this.
I always love it too. I hope you become a regular because you know, you really do help me connect with my grandchildren, you know, and my grown children.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah, they're still your kids. Doesn't matter how old they are. They're still your kids.
They're still my kids. So today we're going to talk about, because you're one of our VIP experts, and today we're going to talk about, you know, it takes a village. And you and I, off camera, we had a chance to just kind of talk about that. And when I was a kid, it takes a village meant a whole new thing. You know, it was a whole nother subject matter. You got punished on your way home from the neighbors back then. So in your world, what does it takes a village mean to you?
So Mahatma Gandhi once said that you must be the change you want to see in the world. I think we've all heard that before. And he encouraged his followers to come together and create that change. So, you know, the conscious parenting revolution is truly in line with that mindset that, you know, effective positive change at home is no different than from the micro home to the macro society. So to become more conscious, we really need community of like-minded people to come together with us, learn and grow. And it does take a village. It takes the support of people around us who are also working it out. And it, you know, it always feels better when you're not alone. And so parents often can feel alone. They can feel like they're in this by themselves, and they just get so much support when they come together as a community.
So when you talk about that, I mean, we're supposedly coming out of COVID, but as we speak right now, there are 25 million people on lockdown in China. So are we really coming out of this whole COVID thing? You know, we have been separating as a community for generations now. You know, in Vegas, you can live next door to somebody for 10 years, and other than knowing what kind of car they drive, you really don't know who they are. Oh, that's the lady with the Ford that lives next door. How do you connect? Because COVID has made us separate even more. We don't even know who our community is anymore.
You know, that's really true. I mean, but on the other hand, what COVID has done is it's provided us with, you know, this sort of Zoom experience where we connect by sitting in my living room and you sitting in your living room. And we can do that and create community anywhere in the world just because we're connected. I mean, there's all of these, you and I were talking about this earlier too, the upsides and the downsides to technology. This is actually one of the upsides. You know, the fact that we can actually connect electronically with other people, whether it's people in our families, or we can extend it to people in our own neighborhoods or people in our own school systems, because we are now connected. You know, it had to be. And one of the things that I don't think has come out as much as could is that those networks that are created where somebody in a, for example, a school system has actually got a whole community's Zoom, ability to connect us by Zoom and
Right.
can create. So this is the perfect opportunity for somebody to step up in a leadership role in the PTA or the PFO or the administration and say, hey, would it help you if we created just opportunities for you guys to have a hangout?
Oh, nice.
Right?
No, that's an
Share.
amazing idea.
Yeah, because it's that sense of, we might live a few blocks from each other, but at various times throughout the year and a half, 2 years, we couldn't really hang together.
Right.
And some people you would see in neighborhoods with, they would do the social distancing, they would do the masking up, and they would create ways that they could be together, safely in COVID.
Mhm.
And that helped them emotionally because we all have a certain amount of bandwidth. And when our bandwidth gets, so small, then the slightest thing can upset us. And we, I'd like to say children are people too. It's one of my main cornerstones. But the other part of that, the other leg on that stool is parents are people too. And when we begin to see everybody as humans, we all share the same needs. And we all have the ability to some extent to meet our needs. But then there are times when we can't. And
Right.
those times arise when, the bandwidth gets smaller and smaller, which is when, things like mindfulness, meditation, breathing, ways that we become more centered and more expansive. And the ability to sometimes just share with someone else, I'm having a hard day. I'm really struggling to meet my needs. Have you ever had that problem? Have you
Oh,
struggled with
yeah.
needs, right? And
Oh,
sometimes
yeah, everybody
by
does.
sharing that, you have somebody who's there just as a sounding board saying, totally been there.
No,
That's
I totally get that. I totally
helpful.
get that. Yeah, I totally get that. But at the same time, it's been 40 years. Yes, I'm that old since I was in high school, and it hasn't changed much. The only motivation you really get is if you're in sports. The only groups that you get is if you're in sports. It's like if you're a regular kid, quote unquote, in the school, you have your few friends. The parents really never meet each other, and you just kind of go through it. And the parents are like, basically, suck it up, buttercup. We're just going to get through it. You're a teenager, shut up and do what
Mhm,
I'm telling you, that kind of a
mhm,
thing. So,
mm,
how do they know, hey, maybe I do need to reach out and find
mm,
a group? How do I know that, this is not normal, that Billy is reacting this way, or I'm not being the best that I can be because of the way I'm reacting? Because we all
mm,
kind of do this parenting thing in a bubble. So, how do you
mm,
know when it's time?
mm. Yeah, I guess I would say that the way I know people don't know is when they reach out. So people will reach out to someone like me or a different type of resource like me because they're not fulfilled as a parent or they're not fulfilled in the relationship they've generated and created with their child and they're
Mhm.
feeling like gosh, I just don't know what's going on in this person's inner world. They're sharing superficially, but they're not really opening up their heart to me anymore. And we
Mhm.
didn't create families to have distance between us. We created families, I think, for warmth and, closeness and giggles and joy. And there's just nothing like having a family. And a lot of
Right.
people experience family without having those beautiful attributes. They experience it as a struggle, and there's, harsh comments, and people aren't, exposing their inner worlds to one another. There's distance. And that's when you
Totally.
begin to feel like this isn't satisfying. This isn't, the juice and the yum yum that I was hoping for when I created a family. Game
No.
nights and shared movies and walks around the park with, other people or the dog or just you and mom or, something like that, where, this is my person. The other people in my world sometimes become our families because
Yeah.
our relationships in our families are so broken. dysfunction.
No, I get that. I get that. And, Alan just threw up our 1 minute warning. I keep telling everybody he's on a different speedy clock than we are. I'm telling you, his clock goes faster than anybody else's. But I know next month we're going to talk about reasons kids don't listen. But I would also love to touch somewhere down the line, like with my parents, my father saw himself as a failure if he had to reach out for help with being a parent, So I'm wondering about the people that are afraid to reach out because they feel like they're going to be seen as less than a great parent because they ask for help. So,
well, I'm so glad you brought it up. I mean, I'll just say this because I know we probably got 4 seconds now, but no fault, no blame, no guilt, no shame. No fault, no blame, no guilt, no shame. So if we have that as the fabric in the background, then saying, hey, I need some extra support doesn't mean that it's my fault, no blame. It's not me to blame, no guilt, no shame. It's not about any of that. It's about recognizing that there are patterns. And these are patterns that have been rolling down through the generations. It's transgenerational, traumatic, dysfunctional patterns. And that we may not have created the pattern, but we've been bathed in the pattern.
Yes, we've been bathed to the point where we think it's normal.
We think it's normal. But if we break out of the guilt shame thing, then we're able to just say, wow, this isn't effective. I'm not getting the outcomes I want. I'm going to up level. Up-leveling, you get to just up level and be like, I'm looking for something better than what I've created so far. And I'm just going to go to the next step. And I'm not going to have to go back and criticize myself, but I might recognize that harm was done and that I can just be responsible for that previous pattern that I had been under a spell because I believe that these spells are cast way before we have any knowledge of it, wasn't working to create the outcomes I want. So I'm going to create different patterns of communication within my family, and I'm going to be the one who starts it. And I'm going to fall just, on my face from time to time, and that's okay. Because I know the only way to learn how to get up and ride this new bike is to just keep falling down.
Yeah, I can't think of a better way to end this one. Before he cuts us off, how do they get in touch with you, Katherine?
Thank you. ConsciousParentingRevolution.com is our website. And please come on over and peruse, join our newsletter. We give out blogs every week on different topics like this. And if you really want to get trained up, you can come join the 90-day parenting reset.
Well, I thank you for being on this episode. I can't wait to get to next month because it's going to get deep. All right, everybody.
Thank you.
Everybody, I hope you enjoyed this episode. You already know if you missed the website, ConsciousParentingRevolution.com, go to Tigo Direct. Katherine's there. Type in Katherine, type in parenting. She'll come up, send her a message. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost Katherine anything. So we can get the word out and you can get connected. As always, I'm Tigo. I'll talk to you next time.